We understand British Prime Minister Theresa May is making a statement. Let's listen in.
Want us to get on with delivering Brexit and also address the other important issues they care about. But the deal which I have worked to agree with the European Union was rejected by MPs and by a large margin. I believe it is my duty to deliver on the British people's instruction to leave the European Union, and I intend to do so. So now MPs have made clear what they don't want. We must all work constructively together to set out what Parliament does want. That's why I'm inviting MPs from all parties to come together to find a way forward. One that both delivers on the referendum and can command the support of Parliament. This is now the time to put self-interest aside. I have just held constructive meetings with the leader of the Liberal Democrats and the Westminster leaders of the SNP and Plaid Cymru. From tomorrow, meetings will be taking place between senior government representatives, including myself, and groups of MPs who represent the widest possible range of views from across Parliament, including our confidence and supply partners, the Democratic Unionist Party. I am disappointed that the leader of the Labour Party has not so far chosen to take part, but our door remains open. It will not be an easy task, but MPs know they have a duty to act in the national interest, reach a consensus, and get this done. In a historic vote in 2016, the country decided to leave the EU. In 2017, 80% of people voted for parties that stood on manifestos promising to respect that result. Now, over 2.5 years later, it's time for us to come together, put the national interest first, and deliver on the referendum.
We've been listening to Prime Minister Theresa May making a statement in front of 10 Downing. This after winning a no confidence vote earlier in the day by a very, very narrow margin, 325 to 302, indicating here that she will work with all parties here to come up with a plan to move forward on what the country decided 2 years ago, which was to leave the European Union. The longer this drags out, what does this mean for the markets? There are a lot more unknowns. This is a continued drag on not just the UK, but also on EU growth. And what does this do to central banks around the world? So
here's the problem. And yesterday we got a glimpse of it when you start to hear about Draghi softening and turning more dovish immediately. We've heard our central bank, Powell, getting a little more dovish. So if that's the case, if there's going to be this global synchronized dovish feel, you would think the markets move higher. But I'm worried that it's going to be the opposite this time. The market's going to be skittish, worried about why everyone is so afraid.
It seems like both sides are kind of digging their heels in right now. I mean, the EU has to be strict about this. If they're not strict about it, then all the other countries are going to start walking all over them. So I think you're just going to see more volatility until there finally is a deal. And we'll see what happens.
In terms of central banks, though, could this put the Fed more definitively on the sidelines for 2019?
I hope not, but probably will. I mean, I happen to think that Mr. Powell's saying what I think, to your point, he read from basically a script a couple of weeks ago. He said what the market wanted to hear. But I still think in the back of his head, he's going to do what he thinks is right. Now, that might be bad for markets. I think it's good for the long run. So I don't necessarily think it's going to make central banks more dovish. But, you know, that's probably more my hope than my feel.